Welcome to Real Rockford Files, for tales of the paranormal, supernatural, and the flat-out unbelievable. Today's episode will be a continuation of my personal stories. If you wish to listen to them all in chronological order, it goes episode 34 to start, then episode 5, story 6, then episode 8, story 5, then episode 40, until I create a video with them all together. Now, let's get into it. This series of stories takes place after my first encounter with the tall man. I'll label them Encounter 1, 2, 3, etc. Encounter 1. Electricity was back on and paranormal activity was at an all-time high. There was a lot of us living at home, so I shared my bedroom with my youngest brother Colton. I'm 13 years older than Colton and he's about 11 at the time, for context. So you have a better idea of the layout. The room isn't big, just a square, each wall about 10 feet long. There's 2 windows on separate walls on one corner of the room. The other side has 2 doors, one leading to the hallway, the other led to a small closet. So it's nighttime, don't know exactly when, but plenty dark, and me and my little brother invented a new game to scare each other, because apparently our house being haunted wasn't enough. The game goes like this. You turn off all the lights except a TV that you leave on a blue screen, so that the only light in the room is a blue glow. Then the one who is ready to be scared sits in the middle of the bed facing straight ahead. The other person gets on one side of the bed with your head level with theirs. Then you smile like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland and very, very slowly inch your face closer to the one on the bed. The person on the bed can't turn their head towards you. They have to only look sideways, and they will see the person's face morphing in the blue light, and the face keeps changing as they get closer. Really scary eye trick. So we're wrapping up playing this game for a while. We had the lights back on, and we started joking about what would be scary. We say something about things moving on their own, then I stand up and reach my hand towards my closet door handle, saying something about wouldn't it be crazy if the door opened on its own, and right as my hand was a couple of inches from the doorknob, right in front of both of us, the doorknob started jiggling and turning back and forth as if someone was frantically trying to get out of a locked room, which that door didn't have a lock. We swiftly booked it out of there and went downstairs for a while. Encounter 2. My family and I were having a ghost hunt night that we regularly did at least once a week after activity seemed unending. We'd turn off all the lights in the house and anything that made noise, so the whole house would be dark and quiet for us to split up and post up in different areas of the house and wait for something to happen, which it always did. One night we were split up and I landed in the basement alone this time. The other places we'd split up to would be the landing between the basement stairs and the stairs to the second floor, and my room, which I thought was the most haunted, but would think differently later. So I'm in the basement alone, pitch black aside from a street light that could be seen shining in the front half of the basement. I stood near that since I was admittedly scared of the back half of the basement. I was armed with nothing but my phone, using the Ghost Radar Classic as one does, seeing what words pop up. It said 2 words that were significant, the first being underground and the second being railroad. During this time, we discovered there was an old underground railroad that went right under where our house was. So underground had me thinking the radar was just lucky because I was in the basement. Then it said railroad right after that, and now I was getting scared. Didn't have to wait long for it to get worse, because almost immediately after reading that, something, I don't know what, I assume the tall man, stepped in between me and the window, completely blocking out the light from the window. I'm suddenly plunged into darkness. My eyes were bugging out of my head, and I was too scared to speak. I just slowly turned around and walked back upstairs, hoping whatever it was didn't pull me back in the basement. Thankfully, I got back up the stairs unharmed. Encounter 3, another ghost hunt night, possibly the same night. I was posted up with my brother Colton on the landing between stairs. We were sitting on a cooler with our backs to the wall. From where we were sitting, we had a view of the basement stairs to the left of us, the kitchen in front of us, and the stairs up to the second floor to our right. I'm sitting on the left side of the cooler closest to the basement, and he's on the right. So we're sitting there for a good 5 to 10 minutes, letting our eyes adjust to the dark, and we both found ourselves mostly looking up the stairs to the right. Our eyes both fixed on a certain shadow at the bottom left corner of the top of the stairs that looked like something crawled out of my room and was now crouched at the top of the stairs like a small 2-foot gargoyle statue. With all the things happening lately, we both quietly checked with each other. "Do you see that?" With the reply, "That thing at the top of the stairs? Yeah, I see it." Then I say, "Whatever you do, don't move. Let's see what it does." A couple seconds go by and it looked different. Now it looked like it was crawling down the stairs face first, and we didn't even see it move. But as we're watching it, it was moving again, crawling slowly down towards us. Its movements were so slow, if we weren't paying such close attention, we wouldn't have noticed it was moving. Slow as possible, inch by inch, it crawled towards us. When it got almost halfway down the stairs, we heard something in the opposite direction, like shoes scuffing a step coming from the basement, so our heads whip around in that direction. Now we're completely forgot about the thing on the stairs and are staring hard towards the basement. I heard what sounded like someone exhaling a breath after holding it for a while, and before I could mention it, something happened. I'm 5'9", 145 pounds, and a hand large enough to grab my entire lower back from one side of me to the other grabbed me and stood me up. It lifted me up slightly higher than my height, so I landed on my feet from a few inches up. I told my brother, "Okay, that's it," and went into the living room, turned on the light, and told everybody what happened. At first, my thought was, the tall man. Then I thought about how that hand felt on my back. If it was attached to a beam, it would be at least 25 to 30 foot tall person, a little bigger than the tall man was. Encounter 4. The last story I'm going to leave you with in this episode is just the first of many increasingly more violent demonic attacks, not on me but on my mother. Already bedridden because of rapidly growing cancer, uterine cancer, there's no way in hell I would prank her or do anything to scare her on purpose. For one, that's who I am, have had too many real things happen to make up something, and two, I was a total mama's boy who would never scare my mama. That being said, I've mentioned before that my parents would occasionally see an entity that makes itself look like me, and this is where that becomes more disturbing. So like I said, my mother is bedridden, and she sleeps in a room between our living room and the kitchen, and from where her bed is, she has a straight-on view into the kitchen, where at the farthest end is the refrigerator, and to the left of that is the stairwell. She's laying in bed when she sees this thing that looks like me walk into the kitchen from the stairwell, stop in front of the fridge, and slowly turn towards her and stared. She said things like, "What do you want? Hello? Why are you staring? Okay, you're starting to freak me out." The other me didn't respond, just turned and walked back to the stairs. I wasn't even home at the time. This happened again soon after. She was bedridden, but my mom still pushed her limits and could still get to the bathroom and such. One day she was walking to the stairs to yell up to me to come down, and when she got to the bottom of the stairs, I was already standing at the top of the stairs, only I wasn't. She tried to communicate with it as if it were me, and the same as before, a blank stare before turning and walking towards my room. Coincidentally, I was in my room and I heard my mom's voice outside my door. So I open the door, peek around the corner, and see Mom at the bottom of the stairs. I asked if she was yelling for me. She said she was just talking to me, and I went into my room. After swearing up and down I was in my room the whole time and just came out because I heard her voice, she had to admit that the other me didn't open the door, he just vanished. Then I popped my head out of my door. We were both thoroughly freaked out. I personally was pissed off that this thing was impersonating me. The next day or so, it would give up on looking like me. My mom was on her bed again, same as the first time, but this time an all-black shadow person would walk in from the stairwell, stop in front of the fridge, and turn and stare at my mother. This time it didn't look like me, and my mother was terrified. She just sat there staring, afraid to speak, afraid to move. Then it suddenly rushed at her so fast she couldn't react. It grabbed both her arms at the elbow and slammed her back onto the bed. She was sitting up high on the bed, and there was a window behind her, and the back of her head was slammed into the windowsill. It was too strong, she couldn't move. She tried to scream for help, and nothing could come out. As suddenly as it attacked it, it disappeared. I can't describe how scared for her, me and my dad and my brothers were. The fact that these shadow person encounters continued after and into my mother's final days will always haunt me, but I'll rest my stories for now. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories. Hope you enjoyed.